I just spent the last several days watching every single film that was nominated for Best Picture. So to the 5 people out there that actually look forward to this video every single year, you're welcome, and I preemptively apologize for screwing up your office Oscar poll. Today we are going to go over all the Oscar nominees, at least all the ones that we kind of know some stuff about. We're going to give you our thoughts on who we think deserves to win.
And some of them we've already seen.
Some of them we already reviewed. So we don't have to go into too many details there. However, there's a lot of films this year that got nominated for Best Picture that we did not see. So we're going to give you also very brief little reviews of them.
Yeah.
Normally each year we give you an individual review of every single film that we haven't seen nominated for Best Picture, but this year there's just no time for it because there were so many of them. This was my first year actually being an official film critic where I went out there every single weekend to see whatever the big new release was. So when the nominations came around, I thought, all right, I saw all those films that everybody was talking about all year long. Okay, I saw all the big ones that are definitely going to get some attention, and yeah, 5 out of the 8 films nominated for Best Picture I did not see. Many of them I hadn't even heard of. So, yeah, way to go, Oscars. Always screwing up my plans.
Cheers to you, Oscars.
My voice is also already wrecked because if you saw our video earlier this week, I wasn't lying. I've been under the weather this entire week and my throat is wrecked. And we're about to talk for 2 hours now. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start by talking about Best Picture because that's one that you guys care about the most. That's one that you guys are all here for. Also, I apologize if I swing out of screen every now and again. Let me just, there we go. That's better. This is our very first video that we have recorded in this brand new setup. We moved everything into a different room. We've got padding on the walls now to try and cut down the echoes. So hopefully it sounds nice to you guys. There's also way less room, so we are just scooched up here.
Squished here.
Just a little squished. All right, so I'm going to go through the Best Pictures alphabetically, but then I'm going to list for you guys the order that I think they have a shot winning. And I think there's 3 on here that you haven't seen. Let's see. You didn't see...
I didn't see Weisz.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
You saw all the other ones. Okay,
Yes.
so you can give your picks as well.
Yes.
Because I got news for you. Weisz ain't fucking winning. At least I hope it doesn't win. It's the last alphabetically, so look forward to my thoughts on that. But, I got some words for Weisz. We'll start with Black Panther, which earlier in the year, I said that I wouldn't nominate Black Panther for Best Picture because there's 10 other films out there this year that I already like better. However, I gotta be honest with you guys. I went back, I watched it again towards the end of the year, just go, all right, let me just get a little bit of a refresher. It's not that the film aged better on me, but I did kind of have to remind myself of everything that I appreciate about the film. I do think that it does come with this big, bright, magical world, and at the same time, I think that they were able to inject into there some really powerful, deep messages that I think really shocked a lot of people. And I've been arguing for a long time that superhero stories are a great way of delivering really powerful messages, and I love that this film finally said, you know what, for all the people out there who haven't been able to understand any of the metaphors that we've been throwing out there in all the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, we're just gonna flat out say it in this one. So I applaud them for that. I think that this film really does deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. This is not just me coming in here and going, yay, a comic book movie finally got nominated, everyone. No, that's not what this is. Upon closer inspection and going back and watching it again, I actually do kind of have to stand by it. This movie did deserve a Best Picture nomination. When you think back to classic Hollywood and how many of the films that got nominated were ones that just wowed people the most, I do think that Wakanda is this big, amazing place that they were able to create. I think all the science that they were able to put in there was really impressive. I think that there's a ton of amazing characters in there. And like I said, the freaking message in there is bolder than most Oscar messages. So yeah, I think that this thing absolutely deserves to be nominated. I don't think it deserves to win, and it definitely isn't going to win unless there's okay, let's do percentages on this. I think this thing has a 20% shot of winning, a 1 in 5 chance. It's not unheard of. It's got a shot, but it's that Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber shot. It's that. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah, it's got something of a shot. What would you?
I don't know. I'm not very good at estimating percentages and stuff.
Yeah, I do this way more on this channel.
it's like, I kind of...
Do you think it deserves to be nominated? Do you think it deserves?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay.
But I don't know if it'll win because it's a superhero movie. It's like...
As smart as this film is, it does still feel like the Academy only nominated this thing so they could go, they're going to eat us alive if we don't do this. Pretty much every media outlet in America is turning its attention to us right now. And even Disney is pushing out, which, let's go ahead and address this. I love the Oscars, but I love it for the same reason I love the Super Bowl. I don't think the New England Patriots are actually the best Super Bowl team in the world. I don't. I think they kind of suck and I hate them. But it's a fun show to watch. At least it is normally. This year's Super Bowl sucked ass. God, that was terrible. I have never seen a Super Bowl in which you got up halfway through and went, done. When it got to the SpongeBob salute, you just went, I'm out. Which, by the way, if the Oscars really want to up their ratings, do the fucking SpongeBob salute at the Oscars. Just do it. No one's going to care. What, are you afraid you're going to piss off the old, stuffy people in the crowd? They're the reasons you're losing ratings to begin with.
Well, I think like during like the tribute thing, I think they might include Steve
They have to. Which at that moment would be a great time to like end on that and then have that go into it. But yeah, I do think it deserves to be nominated. I don't think it really has a very good shot of winning. But as I was saying, I do understand what the Oscars is. I understand the vast majority of the things that get nominated are the things that the studios come in here and go, here's this lovely gift basket that includes a brand new car. You get this no matter what, but it comes with a free copy of Black Panther in there. We're just saying in there. Yeah, no one ever bribes someone to get their vote, but they will just give you a bunch of gifts that go sign Black Panther on there. Just get it in your head, just so that way you think about it. I firmly stand by, what was it? This is a bad time for me to forget what this is called. It was my second favorite movie of the year last year. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I firmly stand by that being an amazing film that absolutely deserves a Best Picture nomination. But Boots Radley came out there and said, yeah, I didn't promote it at all. I didn't send out any cards. I didn't send out any emails. I gave nobody any gifts. I just sat back and said, if they nominate, they nominate, whatever. And of course, it didn't get nominated for a single goddamn thing. When it really did, I'm going to get into that beyond just Best Picture. I'm going to rant about that when we get to a couple other categories in here. But yeah, I understand that's why. I understand it's all kind of superficial and it doesn't really matter that much, but I still have fun with the Oscars. It gives me an opportunity to see a lot of great films that I would not have had an excuse to see otherwise. It gives me a great reason to talk about, and it gives a lot of people out there an excuse to go out there and see these films. Next up, Black Klansmen. We saw this one. We did review this one. I really did love this one. It feels really good to have a great Spike Lee film again.
It's like, I know you mentioned like how Black Panther had like a really good message. I kind of feel like Black Klansmen did it.
I feel like Black Klansmen also, both it and Black Panther had like the message we need right now. Because Black Panther was all about going out there and helping other people around the world, but not in that typical superhero way, but more in the like, you're coming from a point of power, you have the ability to affect the world in a better way, and there's a lot of people suffering out there, so, maybe, and a lot of it even has to do with some stuff that, other people might have done, maybe you turned a blind eye to, and that's the reason why stuff's happening, so maybe you should be doing stuff about this. Black Klansman was like, no, get mad. This is the time to get angry, and I think that Black Klansman did an amazing job of using its humor to get you mad all over again. Because if this movie was just the really dark, depressing side of this story over and over again, it would have beaten you down and you kind of wouldn't gotten numb to it eventually. But because this film, every time that has something really dark and depressing happen, they would then come in there with a really good joke that would make you legitimately laugh. And then you would just be sitting there, oh, okay, it's not all that bad. Smack, oh, it is bad. Oh, they came in here with a serious message again and it took me completely by surprise. Oh, I'm invested in this again. I think that is brilliant storytelling in there.
I guess so, but like, I kind of feel like it was like there was a lot of humor throughout the entire movie, but like it wasn't to the end where it was like a big punch in the gut.
The end is the biggest punch in the gut.
Yes, it is.
But I think that there are many other times though.
I guess so, but it's like it didn't really have that huge of an impact. So
not like the end. The end is the moment in which, again, they stop pussyfooting around this. They come in there and go, oh, did you have a good time? Did you laugh? Did you enjoy yourself? Well, cut that shit out, because it's time to get real about this. I love that is how they ended this film.
I appreciate that too, but it's like, I don't really like leaving a movie on a downer note.
I can understand that, but that's what
I understand that's what they were going for, but
it doesn't make it something that you enjoyed all that.
Yeah, exactly. And being said,
we're going to get to Roma in a moment here. But yeah, I have often said that in my definition, art is something that is created with the intent of making you feel an emotion. Mm-hmm. God damn, this made you feel an emotion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love this one. If I had to give this one a percentage, I'd say it's got like a 25% chance. It's definitely higher than Black Panther. It's also got the, like, I don't want to say legacy element going in there, but the Oscars do love when a director who hasn't done something they've nominated in a long time does something that they now are nominating when they come back around after a while. Spike Lee has not really had anything nominated in a long time. He has not been in the Oscars' attention for a while now. Mm-hmm. So I can totally see them coming in here and saying like, hey man, good to have you back in here. Yeah, come on. So I'd say like 25% chance on this. Bohemian Rhapsody.
We talked about this.
We did. Man, it's weird that the three films we talked about are the three B films in this. Bohemian Rhapsody, I believe my exact words on it were, it's fun in the way that an hour and a half long Queen music video is fun. But I kept looking at and saying, well, this is really just the corniest techniques for telling a biopic. Mm-hmm. Like, it falls into every biopic trap possible, especially for a band biopic. For a band biopic, it is so just over and over again, like every cliche you could imagine. Like, the guys sitting around and they're all playing their very first album, and then the music producer walks in, what's this fresh new sound that's been going on here? They might as well have had a guy in the corner over there just like picking up the phone. It's like, it's your cousin Marvin. You know that fresh new sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. It's that cheesy. And for anybody who says, are you saying Back to the Future is cheesy? Yeah, but it was supposed to be. Like, it's a comedy. That was the point of that. This is supposed to be like a serious biopic. And
it's like, the thing about it is like we mentioned in the review, is like, the movie itself is very by the numbers, but because it's based off of like Freddie Mercury's life, the subject is far more interesting, and I feel like that's the whole reason why it got nominated. And
here is why I'm coming in very pissed about this. Because I didn't know that much about Freddie Mercury. I really just knew about Queen in general, and I kind of knew a little bit about Freddie Mercury's life in here. So I watched this and I'm like, it's very by the numbers, but you know, the subject matter is kind of cool. Afterwards, I started researching this, and I found this ain't even close to reality.
Oh no, Freddie had led such a weird, crazy, bizarre, and wonderful life.
Well,
it's just like...
Well, also, there's so many things in here. Like, their original bass guitar player in this film was not their actual original bass guitar player. That was someone completely different. The guy in here played by Michael Myers, who they got in here to make the joke about how no one's going to listen to Bohemian
Rhapsody. Yeah, that was all made up.
That was all made up. That guy doesn't exist. That was a character, like, they did have an agent who at one time told them Bohemian Rhapsody is too long to be a single. Aside from that, he was a really nice guy who was actually totally on their side the entire time. And they just took that one thing he said to them, created an entire character around it, and, well, that's not how biopics work. You can't just invent people. When the band broke up because Freddie wanted to make his solo album, guess what? The band didn't actually break up in real life. They continued playing through that. He made a solo album, went right back to the band. Everything worked out just fine. But in here, they had to get back together.
Yeah, there's always that, we gotta get the band back together.
They got the band back together because they wanted to go and play, what was it, Live Aid?
Yes.
Yes, they wanted to play Live Aid after Freddie learned that he had AIDS, and it made you look and go, oh wow, well this is a very important moment for Freddie, and the band really came for him there at that moment. Guess what happened in real life? The band never broke up, and he played Live Aid long before he actually found out he had AIDS. They just jumbled his entire story around to try and make a better story, and man, yeah, it really does now kind of tick me off.
Yeah, it's
especially because at the Golden Globes, what's his name, Rami Malik, when he won, he was saying it feels great to tell the story of Freddie Mercury and to show the truth of all of this. It's like, cut out the truth part of that. This was not what actually happened.
It's like, I always like to read random little facts about Freddie Mercury online. It's like, wow, so many weird and interesting things happened in his life, and none of it was in the movie. And it's like, this movie would have been so much more interesting if they actually put in the actual things that happened to him. So it's...
And also, this is a film that is supposed to be talking about HIV and AIDS in the gay community going around in the 80s and the discrimination that that community was really facing at the time. And I saw a tweet that really sums up how well this film captured that. It just said, Bohemian Rhapsody really does tell the horrors of what it's like living with AIDS, in that you can apparently catch it by staring at a blurry figure far off in the background for 2 seconds. And yeah, that's kind of how deep they get with it in here. They do not get into detail like they really should have with this. The entire reason why this got nominated was because it's like being at a Queen concert. In fact, they even end with it being at a concert.
Oh yeah, it's like pretty much like an entire reenactment of like the Live Aid concert.
And as much as I really dislike how this film treated the story of Freddie Mercury after learning more about, as much as I really dislike it for being just so paint by the numbers, hey man, if you're a Queen fan, it's a lot of good Queen music in here. And I think that's really where a lot of the praise for this comes from. Because it's fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. Next up, The Favorite. Now, this is one that we did not talk about. This might be the weirdest film I've seen all year. And I'd like to remind everyone, Sorry to Bother You was my second favorite film of the year. Man, I don't even know where to begin on this.
Let's begin with the plot.
Basically, this is a period piece. This is a Victorian era period piece.
So therefore, it's an automatic nominee.
It's an automatic nominee. It's an automatic. They're gonna nominate. But I gotta give them credit on this one. Because so many Victorian era period pieces just by the freaking numbers. This one, it's so weird. It's what this is about is that Emma Stone plays this person who comes to work in this house under the Queen, and she gets hired to be a servant, which you were out of the room when I started this film, but you came in after this. It starts with her being kicked out of the carriage and falling into a puddle of mud, and she's telling them about what it was like riding there in the carriage. And there was a moment when she goes, well, the man who was pulling it, and she referred to the person who was, driving the horse. But then it cuts to her inside the carriage, and there's just a guy masturbating, like right across from her, staring at her the entire time. You don't even run into that in a New York City train. So that's how this thing starts. And they look at her and go, well, we'll hire you. Maybe you can be a monster for the children to play with. And she's eating that shit. She's just in there like, oh, of course, I'd love to be a monster for the children to play with. Yes. Oh, yes, I can do all that. But who is the other person in here? Who is the other person, the actress in the supporting role? She got nominated, Rachel Weisz. She is like the person right underneath the Queen. Mm-hmm. She's basically kind of manipulating the Queen. The Queen has
like the advisor, or
yeah, basically, like she's that classic type.
Yes, the evil advisor in every Disney movie.
She does. She slowly does look more and more evil as this film goes along, but she is advising the Queen because the Queen is going to war, and you eventually learn the way that she's advising the Queen is she's having sex with her. And because of that, she's got this Queen wrapped around her finger. But Emma Stone finds out about this, and Emma Stone has slowly been trying to work her way up.
Yes.
She comes in there in the middle of the night after the Queen breaks her foot, and she puts some salves that she found out in the woods on there, and it makes her feel better. So Rachel Weisz is like, well, maybe you can be of some use, so you'll be my personal maid. You'll be following me around. And then she slowly starts interacting with the Queen when Rachel Weisz isn't around. And then Rachel Weisz goes, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get in there with her. So she's going to just kick her out there. But then the Queen's like, well, now she's going to be my personal maid. She's going to be sticking around. So it becomes this weird, I don't want to say love triangle. Because no one's actually in love with anyone in here.
It's all everyone's just sex crazed.
No, sex crazed implies that they're doing this because they're horny. They're doing it to manipulate her.
Yeah.
Like, Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are both having sex with the Queen just so that they can manipulate her more. And the Queen is insane. We need to point this out. One of the first things that happens in this movie is that Rachel Weisz insults the way that the Queen looks. She says, you look like a badger, because she's got heavy makeup around her eyes. So she decides she's going to go back and change. She's the queen, and this is her advisor, and the advisor's just shit-talking her the entire time. And she turns around, and there's just this errand boy who's just staying there, and the queen just turns to him and goes, look at me! Look at me! Look at me! And then he, like, slowly, like, turns his head over, don't you look at me!
Did you just look at me? Look at me! How dare you! Close your eyes!
It's one of the craziest performances I've seen all year. And it just gets ramped up from there.
And, like, the thing is, like, the background characters are just as insane, too!
Everything in this movie is nuts!
Rich Victorian people were fucking weird.
Yes, which that's something I have to applaud this film for. This movie, you remember like a couple weeks ago or months ago when the lady who wrote Harry Potter, she came out and said, you know, back in Victorian era, the wizards, they would always just take a piss or a shit right there on the floors of Hogwarts, and then they used their magic to clean it up. And everyone was like, why on earth would you tell us that? That's literally what they used to do in Victorian era. Like, those rich, stuffy, like fancy kings and queens, if they had to take a shit, they just take a shit right there in the hall and they just leave it there. Because they were all fucking nuts! And this is the first Victorian era, like, period film I've ever seen that actually acknowledges how crazy these people were. And they shoot it like they're crazy. There's fisheye lenses all over the place, but it never feels like just someone being like, oh, look at what I can do with the fisheye lens. It makes you feel like we have entered the Twilight Zone for the Victorian era in here. This would not have been in my 10 favorite movies of the year list, but I get it.
Yes.
I get why this is like some people's favorite movie of the year. I've seen many critics call this their favorite movie of the year. I get it. It's not my thing, but man, I gotta applaud this film for just being willing to go insane. This almost reminds me of like an English version of The Handmaiden, which was actually my favorite film of 2 years ago. It was this South Korean film with a very similar concept actually. But it wasn't filmed as crazy as this one was. And I'm a guy who always says, as long as you can show me something I haven't seen before, I'm gonna be on your side. This is a film I haven't seen before, and I gotta give them credit for like how bizarre they went with this thing. I know that a lot of people out there, like, skip ahead by like 2 minutes if you don't want to hear any spoilers, but the way this thing ends too, it's so weird. Cause it feels like you're ramping up for the big conclusion, and then it just ends. But it kind of feels perfect to do that. Because the way that this ends is that there is a moment, the queen, she has rabbits.
Yes, pet rabbits.
Pets rabbits. And there was a moment after Emma Stone has just been promoted to being boss bitch of the whole palace, and she is taking her boot and stepping on one of the rabbits. It's
like
very
slowly.
Yeah, like she's drawing joy from crushing this rabbit. And at this point, the queen apparently just had a stroke off camera, because like now half her face is and she can't move half her body. And there is a moment in which Emma Stone, she's going, okay, let's just get you back into bed. Let's get you back into bed. And she's being very demanding of Emma Stone. She's saying, no, you will do what I say. And then she forces Emma Stone down. And you can kind of tell that Emma Stone is probably doing something under the dress. And
like she says, massage my leg, but you know she's going up north.
They're doing more than that. And she is staring down at Emma Stone with this half-dead face. Just staring at her. Emma Stone is just looking up at her like, what the fuck is happening here? And then slowly they superimpose all the rabbits over Emma Stone.
You know, it's funny.
And it makes you realize, oh, you thought you were coming up here to be a master manipulator? No, you're her pet now. And then credits.
Yeah,
it's such a weird ending for this thing.
But it's a perfect ending.
Perfect. It is exactly how this film should end.
You know, it's funny, like when I was done watching this movie with you, I went on Twitter and I saw like this article saying, this movie is about the limit of control. And that's actually really perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes, because, you know, the queen, she lost control and she had to regain it because she is the queen and all. And Emma Stone's character, she thought she was in control the whole time, and oops, not really in control anymore, oops.
Yeah, and I love how Rachel Weisz's character gets like pushed to the side in all this, because Emma Stone has become like a villain in here.
Yeah.
But Rachel Weisz was already a villain.
No, it's like it's funny because like Emma Stone's character, like she was portrayed as like good and innocent, like too good, because she went out to the field to get the herbs for the queen.
Again, this film starts with her eating shit.
Yeah.
Yes, like literally being shoved into a giant puddle of mud and probably other stuff. And then you see her being all nice, but then it's real, no, I was actually trying to take control. It's like, no, you weren't. Now you're trapped. Now you're just there. That's how this is now. And Rachel Weisz is really the only person who could kind of control the queen, and now she kind of kicked Rachel Weisz's side because she has a new yes man, but the yes man can't really control her, so you know this ain't gonna end well. But I love that Rachel Weisz, like, she falls off a horse at one point and gets like a scar underneath her eye that gets sewn up, and because of that, the queen is like, you frightened me, get away from me, I don't want to look at you like that. So she now has to wear not like an eye patch,
but
she
like
has to wear an entire sash over her eye, and she looks like a freaking Bloodborne character. Like, she looks like a horror character from like Victorian era now. But again, you know, it's like, that's not the real threat of this whole thing. Emma Stone, you bit off too much you can chew. It's a very fascinating film. I would give it like, I'd give it 25%. I'd give it the same amount as,
Are these percentages gonna add up to 100?
No. Everything else has no shot in here at all. No. I would just say, like, the odds of it winning, like, I'm not doing like numbers or anything on this. More just like, you know, percentage-wise. That's literally numbers. That's what I said. Green Book.
This one was actually my personal favorite.
Really now?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. You want to talk about some?
The plot of it, I guess we should go over first.
Yeah. The plot is back in, I believe it was 1950.
1960s, yeah. It's like not quite the 70s, but it was like...
It was like 1963.
Yes.
There is this guy who he works as a bouncer at the Copacabana. Super Italian stereotype, but not in the way that like John Travolta was in Gotti.
Oh, no,
This guy feels real.
Yes, he feels
He
super
feels
real.
like someone you would know. He's out of work for a couple months while the Copacabana is being worked on, so he has to find a job. And he finds this pianist played by Mahershala Ali, and he needs someone to be his driver and also kind of bodyguard as he goes around and performs all these shows down south. And Mahershala Ali is, of course, a black man, and this is the 1960s, and this is the South. And Viggo Mortensen's character, he looks at him and goes, "You going around down south, there's gonna be some problems." And Viggo Mortensen himself is also racist, but I don't know if he's supposed to be like 1960s racist, where everyone was kind of racist, or if it was supposed to be like he's just, even for the times, he's racist. I can never quite tell like how racist are they trying to say he is. But he's willing to do anything for a job right now. So this film then becomes them taking this long road trip from New York all the way down south, and him just driving this guy around who, again, it's not even the fact that one of them is white and one of them is black, it's the 1960s, but it's also that Viggo Mortensen says, "Hey, yo, Tony, come on." He's a slob. He's constantly eating nonstop. They even bring
like
up the
his
point.
very, like, his low-class New Yorker.
Yeah, like very much like just like good fella kind of guy. Whereas Mahershala Ali is playing this guy who
What's his Doc?
I know they call him Doc.
So he's like, I know he's supposed to be like a famous pianist.
He is a famous pianist. I cannot remember his name though for the life of me. Hold on, let me see if I can look it up. Let's see. Green Book, Doc. Dr. Shirley. That's his name. Okay. So he's also like this very classically trained pianist.
Yeah, he's like very professional. Like he grew up like.
He comes into Doc's office for the interview, and he's literally sitting on like a golden throne in this big white extravagant outfit. He's got like elephant tusk in the corner. He's got like, it looks like a museum in there. Whereas Viggo Mortensen is playing a guy who literally, when he pulled up to his own home, he parked in front of a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And he just walked over to the trash can, dumped the trash can out, put the trash can on top of the fire hydrant so no one would notice. Which is an idea that I wonder if it could work. I've never actually tried that.
I suggest you don't.
Yes.
Not like you have a car anyhow,
No.
still.
So it becomes this very odd couple.
Yes.
Traveling through the South. And basically, Viggo Mortensen seeing the racism that Doc goes through in this film. This film, it's actually, man, I'm so torn on this film. Because the performances in here are amazing. The performances in here are flat out stunning performances. And the dialogue is super clever. This is easily the funniest of any of the films that were nominated this year.
I think that might be another reason why I liked it, is like more uplifting.
It's not depressing. It's not depressing at all. But I am, man, I feel so weird talking about this because I've also seen a lot of people saying that this film, it's kind of like racially tone deaf. I've heard a lot of people calling it because it's, it's a film about the prejudices that black man was facing in the 1960s in the South, but told through the eyes of a white guy. And it kind of has that feeling of a white guy writing a story about racism. I understand people making that argument. And I understand people being upset about this film because of that. But at the same time, just judging like performances and the interactions between these guys, they're great. There's so much chemistry between the two of them. The performances are so stunning. The humor in here actually really works. But you said this was your personal favorite.
Yes,
so.
It's like, well, first off, this is based off like a true story, so that was very inspiring for me.
That I did not know this was a true story.
Yeah,
so
until the credits. So.
Yeah, that was really interesting to learn. And they do come in here and they say, hey, these two guys remained friends until they both died in 2013 within months of each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Holy cow, that's really cool. That's not cool they died, but it is
but you know what we mean.
It does feel like they had like that close of a bond. It does really make you far more interested in the actual story of this.
It's like I like the relation, how the relationship grows between these two characters, and it's usually when you have like these odd couple things, like usually the black person is like the poor one and the white person the rich one, but it's like the roles have been reversed.
I did appreciate that the roles were reversed.
Yes.
I did.
And they actually did bring up a point. Is like Doc said. It's like, I'm not black enough, I'm not white enough, what am I if I'm not man enough, or something like that.
That was, because he's also gay in here, gay, which, again, in the 1960s, so he does bring up the fact that he's facing prejudices for that, but yeah, I understand the problems that people had with this, because there is a large chunk of this film where a white guy is trying to tell a black guy about, well, don't you know anything about your own people? And it's like, yeah, I can understand how that doesn't...
but it's like...
I understand that, but there is that one moment where they stop and they kind of address that. And I'm not saying it made me go, oh, well, all you people are crazy for making that argument, but it did make me go, well, that's how I can kind of get through this film and not have that much of a problem with it. But I do understand the complaint that people are having about this.
Like, I can understand the complaint, but it's like, I don't think it's enough to like sway me from enjoying this.
I can understand that, yeah. Also, we should point out that this is an issue about, the portrayal of a black guy in a film, and we're two white people. So it is kind of us coming in here and saying, oh, well, I didn't have a problem with it. That doesn't mean that other people aren't going to have a problem. They don't have a very legitimate reason to have a problem with this film. But yeah, I did, man. Even though I was very conscious of that problem in this film, the performances are so good. And also, the chemistry between them.
Yeah.
Two things down from this, we're going to talk about a love story in here that has one of the best romantic couples in a film the entire year. The friendship between these two guys is even better than that. It's the best on-screen chemistry between two actors of any movie this year. And oddly enough, this film was directed by one of the Farrelly brothers. The guys who made There's Something About Mary and Movie 43, that absolute piece of crap, and Me, Myself, and Irene, and all these really bad comedies for decades. It was directed by him, which kind of explains why it was so funny. Let's go on to Roma.
Yeah.
Green Book, by the way, it's not my personal favorite, but I've heard many people say it's the odds-on favorite to win. I really shouldn't be doing percentages because then it does kind of make it sound like they do have to add 200. But, tell you what, at the end of this, I will rank the odds I think each of these have of winning, and I will also say which one I think should win. Okay, so Roma. This one it's not my personal favorite.
Not really mine either, but I
think it's the best film. It's not my personal favorite. I don't want to watch this again ever. But this is a stunning movie. This is an amazing film.
And it's a Netflix film, so that's...
Yeah. Which, thank God for that, because I'm kind of okay with not having to go to the theater anymore. I have officially used up my going to the movie card. I'm done with that. I'm still going to do it for this show, but, oh man, if you can just start putting them all out on Netflix the same day they come out in theater, I'm fine with that. But this film, it's so hard to really describe what the overall plot is, because it's not meant to be that type of film, which sounds like the most pretentious thing you could say.
Yes, I was worried that this movie would become one of those pretentious films.
It feels like film student head up my own butt kind of films when you start watching it, but it's not.
No, they quickly nip that in the bud.
This is the film that all those pretentious film school, my head up my own butt type of filmmakers watch and go, I can do that. No, some of you can. The rest of you have to work your ass off before you can get to this point, and you need to start working your ass off for that. This film, it really feels like they're just trying to capture this moment in life.
Yeah, it's basically like the daily life of this maid who lives in Mexico.
Sorry, went down the wrong pipe. It is her, she's working for this family, and she eventually ends up getting pregnant from this guy who she sleeps with once, and then he's just out, and he's kind of a nut job too. And then it's basically just her life as things happen around her, and...
Yeah, and this takes place not just in Mexico, but in like 1970 Mexico.
Yeah, and we didn't know the political landscape around that time. But it does really heavily stop to... it doesn't even stop. But it does have a lot of heavy elements of things that happened in the 1970s in Mexico come up in this film. And one of the surprising things about this movie is how they would just not stop to talk about any of that. This stuff was happening in Mexico at the time, so it just happened in this film.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, because that feels real. Like,
it does make it feel very real.
Yeah, because like if you just like wander into something, like no one's really gonna stop and explain everything to you.
Hey, have you heard about what's going on Main Street today? This is not an RPG where everyone comes up and goes, hi, I'm Doug. I own the shop down the street. Yeah, no, it really does feel like you were just thrown into this thing. But also, this is a film that really wants to make a statement about how much it just sucks to not be rich. How much it sucks to be poor. Because she has to work for a lot of really wealthy people.
I think she only works for that one wealthy family.
She only works for that one wealthy family, but she has to do like parties with other like wealthy people, so she has a lot of interaction with other wealthy people. And they very clearly make the divide between how they live and how she has to live. In fact, there is one fantastic moment in here in which it's at this big party, and a fire breaks out in the woods. And all the servants, all the groundskeepers, all the maids, they all have to start screaming, fire, fire, we gotta take care of this, everybody form a big human line, and they're all like form a line just shoveling
passing down like the
buckets
of water.
But then you see like these little kids that belong to the rich people, they're taking little like cups of water, just walking over, like putting out a little fire, and the parents are like, make sure that Johnny gets to go over there. Like they're talking about like, make sure they get to have some fun too. Like they get to play with this as well. And then like you see a moment of like, it goes from like that little kid up to like one of the wealthy guys in a suit, and he's drinking something as these guys are shoveling water. This man is literally drinking while the other people are using liquid to put out fires. That really does show.
I'm pretty sure he's drinking alcohol, so I don't think
he
should be...
But the symbolism, I understand that. But the symbolism is there. And then this other guy who was there at the party to like dress up in a costume and like play with the kids, he just starts singing this song while these other people are desperately trying to put out this fire. And all the rich people are just watching there, they're singing, they're drinking. And there's another moment later on in this film in which, skip ahead by like 2 minutes here, but there is a gorgeous moment in this movie that brings that back around, where you can tell that there is some family trouble happening with the family that she works for. And there's a moment in which they reveal that yes, the husband, he's been cheating on the mom, and now the mom is going to separate from them and the kids are all gonna be there. And they basically say, we're not gonna have as much money as we used to, but we're still gonna be okay. And then the cut after that is all of them eating ice cream together, and they're all just looking like, just because, they had this huge news get dropped on them, and they're all just eating this ice cream looking very sad. And then in the background, there's a wedding happening.
Yes, a big fancy wedding.
I love that because it brings it back around because, the rich people who were there just like looking at all the servants have to take care of this fire. Now they're separated while this big rich wedding is happening right over there. I thought that was great how they brought that back around.
Yeah, another lesson in this movie is men will dump you, so don't trust them.
This movie really talks about how shitty men are. But we're talking about how much it kind of also just like sucks being poor, and that's like a message of this. Again, you see like the stuff that the rich family goes through in their whole world. There's a moment in which they have to go and get a baby carriage not carriage.
Like a cradle?
Crib.
Crib.
They have to get a crib for the baby, and when they're out there, this riot just breaks out. And it just starts tearing up the entire street. People are dying like right next to them where they had to go and get this crib.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you this feeling of, A, that's what was going on in the landscape of Mexico at this time, but it also gives you this feeling of, this is shit that she has had to deal with every day of her life. Like, this is extra for her. This is an exceptionally bad situation for her, but it does make you feel like she probably deals with horrifying shit on a daily basis. And it just does paint that picture of like how separate their world is from hers. But this film, again, it isn't even really leading up to... I mean, it does have a climax.
Yes, I mean, like, basically, the main plot is that the maid is pregnant and she's expecting a baby.
Yeah,
so,
and
while the...
we won't spoil how that ends, but it's... As I said, the guy just leaves after she gets pregnant. So it's tough for her. Mm-hmm. It just gets really rough.
I remember, she told, the wife she's pregnant and she was worried that she was going to get fired because she wouldn't be able to do her job. And the wife was like, no, it's okay. You can stay. It's like, I'm glad the wife was, very,
yes.
kind to the maid, because I know there's, not everyone is going to be that nice to their maid,
yeah.
so...
Exactly. But, what the fuck was I going to say? Man, I really forgot. Oh, no, talking about when the guy leaves her.
Yes.
This guy is such a scumbag that, when she tells him that she's pregnant, they're at the movies.
Yes.
And then they were making out at the movies, and then he stops making out with her, and he goes, oh, it's fine. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. And then he just gets up and leaves. And you know that motherfucker's not coming back. And it is stunning to me how this dude was just able to process within the span of 30 seconds, I'm going to be a father. Time to get the fuck out. Within 30 seconds. And this is a film that holds on scene.
Oh, yeah.
That is the thing that makes this film so remarkable, is how it just holds on everything. Because after that moment, when he gets up to leave, she's still there watching this movie, and it just holds the camera on the back of her head for 2 minutes.
Yes, while the movie ends.
And it holds on her for 2 minutes, just so that we can then get that shot of her going, looking over her shoulder, he should probably be back by now. They hold on her for 2 minutes so that you can, get, that real time, watching the gears turn in her head and watching her turn around with that look in her eyes of, yeah, he's not coming back and I'm fucked.
So I have to admit, when the movie first began and did the long shots, I kind of felt it was tedious, but it wasn't until, the story started to develop that the long shots actually had more weight to them.
Yeah, and I am a sucker for long shots, and there's a shot at the end of this thing. It's like a 5-minute long shot. And it involves so many things happening in that shot that could have gone incredibly wrong, that I was flabbergasted. I was looking for cheats in there. Mm-hmm. I was looking for moments where no, you had to cut somewhere in here, because no way did you just do this all in one take. But no, they did. I mean, unless they used amazing special effects, but they can't even make a plane in here look real. Which I'm not complaining about that, but there is
a very minor thing.
There was a moment in which you saw a plane, and the plane actually plays a little bit of a symbolic role in here. But I looked at it and went, that's a fake ass plane. So yeah, there's no way that they use special effects to cheat a cut in here. And it's stunning to me how they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, there were symbolic things going on, but I didn't feel like it was too heavy-handed.
It's enough in there that you go, oh, this guy's gonna be nothing. There might be a ton in there that we completely missed, too, because it feels like that type of a film. And also, this thing gets in black and white. Again, this feels like what a pretentious film school student would watch and go, oh, well, I know why it's good in black and white. Do you? Do you really? Because I'm about to break it down for you. The black and white in here doesn't make it seem professional. It doesn't make it seem like a real classical film. The black and white in here makes it feel muted.
Yes.
It makes everything feel numb, so that even the big lively moments in here feel flat, which is kind of supposed to represent how she's just beaten down to this point. And I thought that it worked. This is exactly the type of film that you should shoot in black and white. So yeah, this film is great. This to me is the one I want to win. It's not my personal favorite on the list because, as I said, I don't want to go back and watch this movie ever again.
Yeah, so it'd be really awesome if like a Netflix movie won something.
I would really like that. Would be a turning point. That would be a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would be very excited if that happened. So that's I think that's the one that deserves to win the most. My second most deserving to win though, A Star Is Born. I know you actually didn't care for this one that much.
No, not really, but...
Yeah, you thought it was a very basic film. It does have a basic plot, which in all fairness, this is a remake of a remake. So it's been around before we've seen this story. But basically it's, Bradley Cooper plays this musician who really feels like he is supposed to be like the long lost child of like Jeff Daniels or something. Jeff Daniels is the cowboy guy, right? He's the Big Lebowski, because I keep mixing him and Jeff Bridges up. I know it's a weird thing to mix up. But yeah, he is putting on this really heavy, like, deep voice the entire time, but it never felt fake to me. It felt like the voice of a guy who's had the shit kicked out of him his entire life. But he one day goes into a bar and he sees this woman performing up on stage, and it's Lady Gaga, not actually in the realm of this movie, but he decides that he is going to start flirting with her because he's kind of taken in by her and she's actually got a lot of talent. And he slowly encourages her to start pursuing her musical career. And the two of them form a relationship, and I love the chemistry between them. I think they have one of the best relationships of any two characters on screen this year. I love the romance in here. But this becomes a story about as her star starts to rise, his star starts to sink. And there comes this moment where it starts off with him, he's lonely and he's miserable, he's at the top, he's losing his hearing, and the only person he really has around as a friend is his brother, who's like 20 years older than him. Like his dad had him when he was 63.
Yeah, like his dad slept around a lot, so...
Yeah, his dad had him when he was 63, so his brother is like 30 years older than him. He's played by Sam Elliott. There's even a moment in here in which they say that they used to perform together, and Sam Elliott basically says, I think one of the reasons we didn't work out is everyone thought we were a father-son act, which he could totally be his father in this film. And he's the only one he really has on his side, but Sam Elliott is just done with his shit. Sam Elliott has been working to try and help this guy his entire life, but he's a drug addict. He refuses to put in like the hearing aid that helps him.
He's an alcoholic.
He is basically just wrecking his life. But the only thing that he's able to find that actually helps him is this singer, Lady Gaga. They actually do start...
the character's name is Allie, by the way.
Thank you.
So that'd be really weird.
That makes it sound like...
the actual Lady Gaga in like their big fancy weird outfit just comes along and starts singing.
She's basically... If anybody turned out to be an actual Greek muse in real life, it'd be Lady Gaga.
Hey, Xanadu remake.
Yeah, there we go. So, her star starts to rise, his starts to sink, and there comes this moment like right in the middle where they meet, and you can tell they're happy. They get a home, they get married, they get a dog, and they're all right. But then her star still keeps on rising, and it's not like he's jealous. It's not like he's upset that she has success. It's just now she's moving away from him again.
Yeah, it's like basically like they crossed and now they're like...
And they had that one perfect moment right in the middle. But again, you care about both of them. You really do want to see them work this out. And I do love that their relationship is complex because even though they're head over heels in love with each other, they still get into fights, but you can tell that the fights feel real. They always feel like they might break up, but not quite because they just care about each other so much. And the same thing goes for his drug addiction. It keeps looking like he's going to get clean. Then he'll do something and he'll get worse. But then it looks like he's going to get clean again. Then he gets worse. And I really like that because it kept you kind of in suspense of what's going to be the time when you just screw up too bad. When is it going to happen where there's no coming back from this? It's like watching someone try and tip over a refrigerator. You have to get a couple shoves in there, but eventually there gets that one shove and it doesn't come back and it's like, oh no. That's what this is basically.
It's like, I feel like the reason why I didn't really like it so much is because it just felt like too obvious. I mean, it's like, I felt like there wasn't really a lot of struggle with Lady Gaga's character. It's like, oh, hey, she got discovered by this famous singer. Now she's gonna perform on stage with him, and now she's gonna be a big famous singer. So it's like...
She has... Okay, I see what you're saying. With her career, there's no struggle.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Because
thing.
in their relationship, there's a ton of
Yes, there is struggle in the relationship, but not really in the career, which I kind of feel like also has something to do with the relationship. I mean, it's just as important. Their careers and their relationship are both very important in this movie. So I kind of feel like more focus on one than the other kind of threw me off.
I can understand that. Okay, I can understand that.
And like also, I kind of felt like, what, Jack? Is that the name of the?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of felt like he was just irredeemable from the very start.
Really not.
I mean, like the first time you see him, he's like chugging down like chugging down drugs and drinking alcohol, and it's just right before he performs too. So it's like, this guy I don't like this guy, and I don't think he's gonna.
Fair enough. I like seeing redemption stories.
I guess so, but like in this one, he didn't really get a redemption.
Well, let's kind of get into spoilers there.
I guess so, but it's like at the same time, I'm kind of glad because I think this movie teaches people that like having a person in your life is not going to automatically cure all your problems.
Okay, I can see what that's.
Yeah, so I feel like that is one of the good things.
He was relying too much on her.
He was relying too much on her to help him fix everything.
I can see that, yes. She was another thing that he needed in order to like deal with the pain in his life. And I can understand that, but I did really actually care about Jack in here. I did really actually want to see him get better. Every time that he got worse, it just really broke my heart all over again. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I love the relationship between the two of them in here, but I was blown away by how the story was told. Because as I said, it's one falling, one rising, and I love like how he has this image in his mind of who she is, and after she gets famous, she kind of does become Lady Gaga. Like she starts wearing like, more extravagant outfits.
Yeah, like she gets like a manager's like, you need to start singing more pop songs and stuff.
Yeah,
so
she literally sings a song of like, why do you come over here with an ass like that? And he has to come up and come to her and is like, that's not you, this is all fake, this isn't you. But then she's like fighting him on that, and it has to make you kind of stop and go. It's like, is she now trying to be something that she isn't? Or is this something she actually wants and he has an image in his mind of what he thought she was there in the beginning? So I do think it's actually pretty complex, the relationship that they develop in here. But to me, I just love how towards the end of this really, like, these are vague spoilers I'm gonna give in here, but towards the end of this, he is almost exactly where she was in the beginning. Like in the beginning, he had to like fight to get her to sing, because she was embarrassed to start singing. Towards the end of this, she finds a love song that he's been writing, and she's trying to get him to sing it, and he's too embarrassed to sing this in front of her. And I love how they swap that, and I love that literally this film begins with him singing alone on stage. This thing ends with her singing alone on stage. I love how it just completely twisted her all around.
I guess so, but it's like, I just feel like it was like too predictable.
I can understand that. But I love this film. I really did enjoy this.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. So it's my second under Roma to win. I liked it more personally than Roma, but Roma's a better movie. Roma is definitely a better made film. Last film, Weisz.
This is the one you saw in theaters.
You didn't see this.
I did not see this.
This film can go fuck itself. This film sucks. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and establish something here. This film is basically 2 hours of calling Dick Cheney the devil. And I want to let everyone know, I'm a big hippie liberal. I've never hidden that. I'm a super far to the left liberal. You want to come in here and tell me you're making a movie where for 2 hours you just call Dick Cheney the devil? You've already got me 1 foot into the I'm going to love this door. Do you know how bad you have to fuck this movie up to get me to just completely walk out the door? This movie already had me with, okay, Dick Cheney's the devil. Go on. I see. This is a horribly made film. It really is. And I'll be completely honest with you, I think the main reason this thing got any nominations was A, because there are good performances in here. And the Academy, the vast majority of the Academy, the people who nominate these films, are actors. So a lot of times they will nominate not great films, but because they had amazing performances in there, because on a subconscious level, they're saying, well, I as an actor understand how hard it was for that actor to do what they did, or it's them saying, man, it would have been great if I could have been in that movie. On some subconscious level, that's where a lot of like Oscar nominations come from. This movie, it's really obvious that's what it was. Because it has great performances. It has great performances, but also, yeah, the Academy tends to be pretty liberal. This is, I feel a lot of this comes from, yeah, call Dick Cheney the devil. It's like, dude, you gotta also make a good movie.
Is that like the actual plot? Like, is Dick Cheney literally the devil? Or is the devil disguised as Dick Cheney? Or
It is a biopic about Dick Cheney.
Oh.
It is a biopic about him kind of like rising through the ranks. Which it does reveal some stuff about him that I did not know. I'll be totally honest with you about that. Like, it revealed, I always kind of assumed that Dick Cheney was like some master manipulator from the get-go. No, man, Dick Cheney, when he was young, this thing starts off with him in a car like roaming back and forth on a city street, getting pulled over by the cops, getting into a fight at a bar. And I was like, so you're starting with George W. Bush, interesting. Because this is literally how that Oliver Stone George W. Bush biopic W starred all those years ago. It starts with him like swerving down the city street and like he's getting into a fight in a bar. It's literally how that movie starts. But no, that's Dick Cheney in there. And they come in here and they say, yeah, Dick Cheney, back in the day they would have called him a ne'er-do-well. These days we would have called him an asshole. That's not the exact word that they use, but they come in here and they paint this picture of Dick Cheney. He was a drunk. He got kicked out of Yale for drinking too much. I never knew that about him. I never knew anything about his younger days, so I gotta give him some credit for educating me on that. But after that, it shows him getting into politics, and shows like his wife really pushing him to get further into politics and keep progressing up the ladder. And it shows him starting during the Nixon administration, semi the Nixon administration. He was there kind of towards the end of the Nixon administration. Then him going into the Ford administration, him going and working in the Reagan administration, and it shows him like working under the tutelage of Donald Rumsfeld. It shows like all the little pieces, which this is the amazing thing about this. This film really does kind of feel almost, it shows so many major players in conservative politics, like being there with him at the get-go. Like Donald Rumsfeld was the one who trained him. The guy who went on to create Fox News was working with him in the Nixon administration, trying to get Nixon to create a conservative news network. So I was like, okay, so that guy was there the entire time. And Antonin Scalia, who ended up winding up on the Supreme Court, he was the guy who was advising Dick Cheney on how the president could get unlimited power to do whatever he wanted. Holy crap! So it was kind of crazy trip to watch like where all these little players came from and how they were all there together at the beginning. But this movie, it feels like, who's the guy who directed this? Because he's up for Best Director, and God, he should not be. That's the thing that ticks me off more than anything. Like, I can almost understand people like giving a lot of this movie a pass because they just agree with what it's saying. And I know a lot of people out there have accused me of just going, well, you just let your liberal bias dictate how you feel about things. No, I will guarantee you if something sucks, I'm going to call it suck. This thing sucks. Adam Mckay, who was famous for directing a ton of Will Ferrell movies, he is another famous comedy director working on an Oscar-nominated film this year.
Was there any comedy in this?
Yes! They tried to put a crap ton of comedy in here. There are moments this feels like a Family Guy episode.
That is so weird because you see the poster and everything. It looks like a serious movie.
Yes, it does. But there are so many cutaway gags. There are so many times where they just alter reality around some weird references in here. Those are moments where they stop to reference Dick Cheney as being Galactus, Devourer of Worlds. And I, as a comic book fan, looked at that and just said, this came out of nowhere and does not serve your film in any way, shape, or form and just make this reference out of nowhere. There's a moment in which they try to talk about how Dick Cheney is just thinking something over in his mind. That it'd be great if we could know what was going on in his mind, but this isn't a Shakespearean play where everyone just says everything they want out loud. Then he and his wife go into a Shakespearean play out of nowhere. Nothing like that ever happens again throughout this entire thing. It's just there for that one thing. This movie, it really feels like Adam Mckay, he knew what he wanted to do in this film. But he also had another idea of what he wanted to do. And another idea, 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 and another idea. And rather than just shifting through this and going, how do I want to focus and make this movie, he just decided to put every idea that he had into this film. And it just becomes a jumbled ass mess. It really does. And the beginning of this film, it is the story of Dick Cheney. When it gets to the George W. Bush administration, it just becomes Cheney's greatest hits. It just goes cut to this, 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 cut to this. It's just one thing after another of all the evil, horrible shit that they did, which kudos to them on reminding people of this shit. Because I'll admit, I grew up in a very political household. I knew all this stuff going into it, but I still kind of forgot some of it. Like, there are characters who pop up in here that when they pop up, I just looked at them and went, oh, right, this asshole. When Scooter Libby popped up in here, I went, Jesus, I forgot about you, you little turd. God damn. There's so many of, like, the players who just fucked over this country for a long period of time, just coming back around in this thing. And again, kudos to you on reminding people of the horrible shit they did and the stuff that's still going on to this day. But yeah, man, it really does just feel like they stopped telling a story halfway through this movie. Halfway through this movie, it almost becomes a documentary, except with actors in there. And there's other moments in here in which this thing literally opens up with them saying, this is all based on true events. Or at least as true as you can get about someone as secretive as Dick Cheney. But we tried our fucking best. Like, that's literally what it says, we tried our fucking best at the start of this thing. And there are moments in here in which it has two characters behind closed doors. There's nobody else there, no tape recorder, no nothing, and it has them talking to each other. And I looked at it and went, no way would they say something like that. You're just trying to make them a cartoon just to make them seem like extra. Like, when he goes in to see George W. Bush to be asked to be his running mate, George W. Bush, this guy who, yeah, he was known for being a cowboy and all that stuff, but after he kind of got sober, he kind of became like a very timid fellow. He kind of became just this regular old guy, didn't really know what to say about one thing or the other, just constantly trying to make up his mind about one thing or another. And that's kind of the way that we all saw Bush acting. That's kind of the way that we all heard he performed behind closed doors. But when he gets in there to interview Dick Cheney, he puts his legs up there on the table. Dick, let me tell you about this. You're going to be my running mate. And whoo, boy, we're going to go down there. We're going to get ourselves a good old crawdad. We're going to have ourselves a good time. He is being the biggest cartoon. And I couldn't not look at that and go, nobody was there. Nobody actually says like he did any of this stuff. You're just making this up to basically come in here and do a hit piece on George W. Bush. And again, I should like that, but it's so just over the top, man. And again, he constantly just changes how he wants to tell the story. When he goes in there and W is basically interviewing him about whether or not he wants to be his running mate, Dick Cheney starts talking in his own head. You start hearing his thoughts as he is analyzing and sizing Bush up. That never happens before in this film, never happens after this film. It's only for that one scene. Why only do it for one scene?
And didn't you just say, oh, we can't hear them because this isn't a Shakespearean thing or like...
And then he did that exact thing. Yes, you're right. Yes. But then at the very end of this goddamn thing, at the very end of this goddamn film, they stop with him in the middle of an interview. And then he stops the interview and breaks the fourth wall, and he basically makes this, you want me up on there on that wall when everything's going on. He basically makes the Jack Nicholson speech from A Few Good Men he talks about when that tower was coming down, you don't think that I would do anything to keep these people safe. And it's supposed to be like this, like, oh, he had the best of intentions, but he was just an evil sociopath about it. But the rest of the film does not try and paint him at all as ever having the best of intentions. Like, there was a moment in which after 9/11 happened, you see that before 9/11 happened, they were already working on plans to invade Iraq, which is bits of information that we do know. That's not something that we're just coming in here and going, we're just gonna make up that they were doing this. No, we've actually got like some files that say that, yeah, they were already working on that. Then after 9/11, you see him there with Rumsfeld, like immediately saying we need to go into Iraq. And then this thing ends with, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep people safe after 9/11. I was like, we know for a fact from the rest of this fucking film that no, that was not your motivation. Why are you breaking the fourth wall to tell us that now? Like, if you were telling the person interviewing you, about that, it makes sense because you'd be bullshitting them. You'd just be lying to them. But you're breaking the fourth wall, and it's supposed to be this moment where you're like actually addressing your real self coming out. We know that's not your real self. And also, this drove me fucking nuts in this film. This drove me insane. They bring up so much about the crazy shit that Dick Cheney did, about all the horrible things that happened. But there is one major thing from the George W. Bush administration that never, ever once gets brought up in here. The Osama bin Laden determined to attack within the United States memo. The memo that they got before 9/11 that said Osama bin Laden is going to try and do this exact thing, have your heads up, that never gets mentioned in here. And then at the end of this thing, it's him talking about how it's like, I would do anything to save the American people. It's like, then shouldn't we address how you ignored that? Like, for everything that he did during his administration that they make sure to bring up and give us a big ass spotlight on in this movie, they never bring that up in here, and it actually would play into how they decided to end this film. It's insanely sloppy storytelling to me. I really did not like this movie. I really think this is just an awfully made film. And again, I want to come in here and repeat, I'm behind the message of this, but it is not a well-made movie. Oh God, and there is one thing they do here that pisses me off, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. The narrator of this thing is this average Joe guy. He comes in and says, well, I'm this guy, and I work at this factory, and I love watching SpongeBob with my 2-year-old son, and we get along. He's just the nicest G. Willikers guy. He works at a factory. He's a blue-collar guy. He goes over after 9/11 to go and fight over in Afghanistan. He then gets forced to go over into Iraq, and you see him, there comes a moment, and you don't know how this guy is connected to Che at all. All he says is, well, we're kind of related, but I'll get to that later. So the entire time I was like, does he end up marrying like his daughter, or does he like what? How are you? Are you like a long lost cousin? Are you gonna be like an illegitimate kid? Is that like going to be what you're going to do? Or are you going to drop the ball on me that Cheney has an illegitimate son that we don't know about? But no, at the end of this, Dick Cheney, he's having yet another heart attack, which I will say, the heart attacks were funny in here, which they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But there's so many great moments here. Like there's a montage of him like in the 80s, just kicking ass, just creating just countless opportunities for rampant greed in America, just going nuts with power in the 80s. And he's like, it's a montage. He's like walking down, and he goes, are you okay, sir? I'm having a heart attack, you idiot. And then there's another moment on like election night, and he's just sitting there. Yep. Gonna have to go to the hospital. Like, that's how they address a heart attack at one point. Yeah, it's supposed to be funny, and it's funny. But he's having his final heart attack, and there's like the big emotional moment of like his wife and his daughter just, no, I don't want you to leave. It's okay. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be okay. And then like our narrator's jogging down the street, and I knew at that exact moment what they were going to do. And he said, yeah, and then as the life slowly faded out of him, well, his long legacy finally came to a truck hits him. Truck hits him, he's dying on the street, goes in there to be operated on, they take out his heart, put it into a cooler, take it over to the president now gets his heart. And this pissed me off so much, because the man is there dead now. Our narrator is dead, with like his chest sewn back up, he's on the big slab, and he just says, Dick Cheney doesn't refer to it as someone else's heart. He always refers to it as my new heart. And I gotta say, even though I'm dead, that really pisses me off. And I hated that. Because as much as of a monster as Dick Cheney is, you just put words and opinions into the mouth of a dead man who actually exists. Fuck you for that. Don't come in here to a dead man and say, and we know how he feels politically about this. Do you?
Do you know anything about his life?
I'm assuming that organ donators are anonymous. I've always assumed that. I know that most of them are. Maybe in some states they aren't, but I don't think that he was. I mean, even if he was like super, even if this guy was super against Dick Cheney, you don't know how he feels being dead about all this. You don't know that. Don't put words in a dead man's mouth. That's really fucking shitty to me. And I was really offended by that at the end of this. But goddamn, yeah, this entire film, it really, at the end of this, it really does just want to be everything. It wants to just go, and we're gonna include this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Like there was a whole montage of like Chaney's greatest hits in here, and I mentioned like, you know, the big stuff would make sense. But there's other things in which, like, remember when Chaney shot that guy in the face? Mm-hmm. It goes in there and it says, Chaney never apologized for this, but you know who did apologize? And then it shows the footage of him apologizing on camera. Okay, how's that tie into the overall thing? Are you trying to just put this in here to let me know that Chaney's an asshole? Because I got news for you. This is at the 1.5-hour mark of this film. I already know this. This is very obvious to me at this point. But then after that, it goes in that time they told that guy on the Senate floor to go fuck himself. It just happens and then it's gone. And it's just there to just remind you, hey, remember when he did this to that guy? And it's like, yes, but there's bigger, that's not important to this overall story. You're not telling a story anymore. You're not even telling a good documentary, because at least a documentary would give an intro and an outro to something like that. It's really just sloppy storytelling on every goddamn level in this thing. It really did piss me off. Goddamn, it's a waste. Do not. And it's a shame. I want to tell people to watch this because people out there should know about this. And I know there's a lot of younger people out there who didn't really grow up that aware of what was going on during the W administration. You should be aware of what went on during it. And this film, it does actually lay everything out there for you.
I guess you're probably better off just like researching it on the internet.
Yeah, the internet's, who knows what you're gonna find there. I've found that George W. Bush actually invaded Iraq to deal with the snake people that live underneath the planet and came here from the tall white aliens that invaded the planet. I listen to a bunch of conspiracy theory podcasts because it's funny. This is actual shit that people believe. Yeah, man, it's not good. And at the end of this, there is a moment in which Chaney has to make like one final decision, and there's like one thing that Chaney has never backed down on. And like the one nice thing about Chaney is that one of his daughters is gay, and he's always been like, well, I can't come out against gay marriage, and I will never come out against gay marriage for these reasons. But his other daughter is running to be a congressional representative in Wyoming, and she's having trouble because she can't say whether she is or against gay marriage. So there is a moment in which she comes out against gay marriage, and then you see her sister, played by Allison Pill, who I always love Allison Pill and everything, so I'll give her credit for that, for being Allison Pill. She's calling her up and saying, how dare you, I know that you would not do this unless Dad gave you approval. And basically it shows like Dick Cheney just gives her like the head nod to go ahead and do this. So at the end of all this, it's trying to say Dick Cheney went against that one nice thing about him. But as it's at that moment, and as he's like making the decision to do all this stuff, it's showing you a montage of all the horrible shit happening in the world. And they're basically trying to say all this horrible shit happening in the world is all tied back to Dick Cheney. Only about half the things they show you during that montage are things that were addressed in this movie. So they're literally just throwing random things in there at the end. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't make a case for those random things that they throw in there at the end to be linked back to Dick Cheney. What I'm saying is, they don't link them back to, they just throw them in there at the end because like, screw it, throw this thing in there as well. And this thing too. Remember the housing market? We didn't even talk about that at all in this film, but it's his fault too. Throw that in there as well. And it's such bad storytelling. It is awful storytelling. This does not in any way deserve any nomination for Best Film, Best Director, absolutely for Best Actor though, which we will get to in a second. Okay. But that is it. Those are all 8 of the films nominated.
Best movies.
For Best Movies. If I had to rank the ones that I think deserve the award the most, I'd go Roma first, then A Star Is Born, then I would go Black Klansmen, then I'd go back and forth on this one over and over, but I should go The Favorite just for being so weird. I gotta give credit to something that just is so damn weird. But then I'll go Black Panther, then I'm going Green Room,
Green Book?
Green Book. Yeah, you know that film from 2017 about where Patrick Stewart plays a Nazi and he's beating up the people in the punk band? No, Green Book. Then I'll go Bohemian Rhapsody, and then at the end is Weisz. What about you? What order would you rank them in?
I don't know, I
know Green Book is your favorite.
Yep, that's my personal favorite, but I think the one I want I don't know, like either want to win or deserve to win. Those are like two like different.
It's very, yeah.
Those are two very different things.
When I was in college, I used to host an Oscar party every single time the Oscars came around, and we would all fill out forms, and I would do like a little bit of like a fundraiser thing, which I'd say like, hey, it's $1 per form, and you can get as many forms as you want. You just have to spend the money on, and whoever gets the most right at the end gets all the money that we were going to. I guess that's not a fundraiser. Because I ran a gambling pool in college. I called it a fundraiser. Can I be in the W administration now? Oh, sorry. Bringing that back around. But yeah, and I would always buy 2 copies. One that I think will win, one that I want to win. So I understand that.
It's like, the Green Book is my personal favorite, but I don't know if I think it deserves to be the winner. So
it's got a lot of positive buzz from the Academy.
But I feel like the favorite might be...
Really? Might be the one that wins.
I can't... Either
they do love Victorian era.
Yes, I know. And because of the way it's filmed, like, it's filmed very differently compared to other Victorian films. So I think those 2 factors are the reasons why I think it'll be... Like, it'll win.
Interesting. Yeah, this is such an odd... Here's the thing. I would say Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, Weisz, and... I'm actually going to go Black Klansmen. I think they have, even though, like, Black Klansmen is my 3rd on my list of ones I think deserves to win, I think that the Academy's probably not going to go for it. So those are my bottom 4 most likely, but then my top 4 most likely, the favorite, Green Book, Roma, and A Star is Born. I have no idea which one's gonna win. I think that each of them have like almost an equal shot. I think Roma deserves it more, but I think that each of them I can see the Academy going for. So yeah, so I hope that helped you with your Oscar poll. Let's go into, okay. The rest of this is going to go really fast, because I know we spent like hours on that.
Yeah, but that's because that's like the main...
That's the main one, and I know you guys haven't really gotten our opinion on that. Actor in a leading role, we've got Christian Bale for Weisz, we've got Bradley Cooper for A Star is Born, Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. Willem Dafoe is the only one we haven't seen. We don't know that one. As much as I just said I hated Weisz, I really did not like that film. Christian Bale, he deserves it. He disappeared into that character. It is, and not even for like the typical Christian Bale, I gain weight and I lose weight for roles kind of thing. He disappeared in that. He had the voice right. He had the facial mannerisms right. He got everything exactly how he should have in there. So I think he absolutely deserves that. After that, I would actually go, it is tough between Bradley Cooper and Viggo Mortensen for me. Because Viggo Mortensen, again, disappeared into that role. You could not tell that was him. Another guy who gained weight for the role this year. Very interesting. Rami Malek, I remember when I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, I said, yeah, I can see him actually getting a nomination and maybe even deserving to win it. The more time goes by, the more I'm like, was he really the best interpretation of Freddie Mercury? Or was he just doing like a caricature the entire time? I couldn't tell really the more I think about it.
It's like, apparently he didn't even like sing the songs.
That isn't the shot. Although I will say, Bradley Cooper actually sang those songs. And here's the thing. Typically whenever you hear an actor say, oh yeah, I also have a band and I sing songs, it's like, oh, that's cute for you. I would buy that soundtrack. That's a good ass soundtrack. But yeah, Christian Bale is my choice. Who would be your choice?
I don't really know.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I really did like Viggo in the Green Book because, like you said, he felt like a down-to-earth, like, Italian guy from New York.
He was so real in that.
Yes.
And it's hard to take a character who feels almost like a stereotype and real at the same time.
But it's like, I've seen those people around, and yes, they can be a bit much, but yeah, he nailed that.
Let's see. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna stick by Christian Bale on that one.
Okay.
Actress in a leading role, we've got Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, Glenn Close for The Wife, Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Lady Gaga for A Star is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
No, we didn't see that last one.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. I did see that last one. I did not see The Wife, though. And she's actually the talked about favorite. Everybody is saying that she is like the odds-on favorite to win this year. So sadly, that's the one we didn't see. But out of the ones I saw, Yalitza, she actually isn't even an actress, which stunned me. This is like the first thing she's ever done. The director just thought that she had the right look. And it's incredible how she was able to just really do everything she needed to do in every single one of these roles. And again, these are long takes. It is hard for someone who is not a trained actor to do long takes. So I'm really impressed with her. Olivia Colman, she's not gonna win, but she deserves this nomination. I mean, there at the end where she has the stroke, and like she just managed to make half her face just dead the entire time. Really impressive, but also just how insane she was in this. Again, look at me, don't do it, look at me. Like, I just watch the trailer if you have not watched that. She was so good for that. Let's see. I think that she's really good, but I don't think she deserves to win. Lady Gaga, I thought really was great. You want to talk about somebody who just disappears into a role?
Oh yeah.
I would not have thought that was Lady Gaga.
I know, same here.
I heard someone say that this movie needs to be nominated for Best Makeup because they made Lady Gaga look like a normal person.
It's like nominated for no makeup.
Nominated for how much they were able to like take away from someone. Yeah, Lady Gaga, again, deserves the nomination. And Melissa McCarthy also deserves this nomination. I have often said Melissa McCarthy is a great actress if they just stop letting her improv. If they stop letting her improv and they give her an actual well-written script, she can knock it out of the park. That's exactly what she did in this movie. She nailed this role. You feel like how just beaten down she is by life. And you never really like her because she just immediately kind of becomes a shitty person, and she from the start is just shit-talking everyone. Like, her publicist is telling her, her agent is telling her, if you want to get another deal, you have to play ball. And she's telling her, no, go fuck yourself, I'm not gonna do any of that. She's like, well, you have to go and be very polite on these shows. I'm not gonna be polite, I don't like people. So you really believe she is just kind of an asshole. But man, she really made you like just buy into how even though she's an asshole, you care about her. You feel you understand why she would make all these terrible decisions in her life. Why she would get so desperate to do these things. But out of all them, I might have to go with Aparicio. I might have to. This is a tough one. Again, I don't think it matters because I think Glenn Close is going to win this because also, anytime that you have an older actress in a role, they're like, well, you might not be back again, actor or actress. They're like, well, you might not be back again, so let's go ahead and give it to you now. So I think she probably will get it, even though I haven't seen the film. But out of the ones that I did see, I might have to go with Aparicio. What's up next? Actress in a supporting role. We got Amy Adams in Weisz.
Your finger's kind of in the way, so I can't really see.
We've got Amy Adams in Weisz, Marina de Tavira in Roma. We've got Regina King in If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone in The Favorite, and Rachel Weisz in The Favorite.
You saw If Beale Street Could Talk, right?
I've seen each of these, yes.
Okay. It's like...
I think Regina King has got
this.
Because Amy Adams is okay in Weisz. I've seen her do better stuff. And it's hard for me to come in here and say you should be nominated for this when I've seen you do better things before. Marina de Tavira, she's pretty good in there, but again, it's more the director's show in there. It's hard. I can't point at anything she did in there that made me go, oh yes, that moment in there. No, I can't really do that. Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, I think they're not going to win because I think all the people who are cheering for The Favorite are going to be split on that one. Even though both of them are great in there. Both of them absolutely deserve the nomination. But Regina King, goddamn.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm mad this is the only nomination Beale Street got in terms of acting because so many of the actors are good in that film. So many of them are. So I'm kind of putting all my feelings about If Beale Street Could Talk all into this one nomination. So yeah, I think she's got it on this one. Actor in supporting role, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know. This one is Mahershala Ali's to lose. Like, this is like, he's already got it. He doesn't have to win this. He's already won it. That's what I mean by it's his to lose. Because he nailed it. Adam Driver, really good in Black Klansmen. Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born, I really liked him, but he's in it for very little in the film. It's kind of shocking that little. He's great in it, though. It always surprises me how much Sam Elliott can just cry at the drop of a hat. Like, there's that moment when he drops his brother off, and you know that, like, his brother isn't going to get better after he drops him off. But he turns around and starts driving away, and he's just got those big old eyes just starting water on up. And man, you keep forgetting what a good actor Sam Elliott is. So he definitely deserves recognition, but he wasn't really in the film all that much. Richard E. Grant, it was really good in Can You Ever Forgive Me, but it was Melissa McCarthy's movie. He was kind of just there to support her, which best supporting role. But again, I feel like to win at this, you kind of have to also take the spotlight every now and again, and he never did that. Sam Rockwell does not deserve it for Weisz, though. For the same reason that Sam Elliott does not deserve it for Stars Born. He did a really good George W. Bush impersonation. But he had as much to do in this film as George Bush actually had to do in his own administration. He is, like, there are moments there in which they're just like, no, go and sit in the corner, George. Oh, okay, Dick, you just tell me what to do, Dick. He doesn't really, like, I honestly was watching the movie just thinking, what clip are they going to use for when they play, like, the little clip during his nomination? Because almost every single moment he has in here is just, I'll tell you what, Dick, we're going to do this. Okay, sir, I guess we can go now. All right, that's what I like to hear, man. That's pretty much it. Like, the only thing he has is, like, after the invasion of Iraq, they have him give the My Fellow Americans speech.
Yeah.
And that was one of the few nice moments in the film because, like, the camera zooms around him and then you see his leg is just shaking nonstop. And then you see a family hide under their table in Iraq as they're being bombed, and the father's leg is shaking. That was one of the few, like, moments I looked at and went, that's actually good filmmaking right there. That's actually a good, like, juxtaposition in there. Again, I hate the rest of that movie. Man, he does not deserve this. He's not in the film nearly enough. Does a really good impersonation, does not deserve this nomination. So it's Mahershala Ali. Unless you disagree, but...
No.
That was your favorite movie, so... Directing, Adam McKay does not deserve this nomination. Fuck him. Spike Lee absolutely deserves the nomination. As I said, it's really good to see him back. I did not see Cold War.
Oh.
That is the last of the films that came out this year that everybody said was amazing. I didn't get a chance to see, but I hear it's really damn good. The Favorite by Yorgos Lanthimos, a guy who is known for directing really weird stuff. I'll give him some credit for the way that this is shot, but again, that kind of goes to cinematography.
Yeah.
It's when it comes to how a film is shot, you often have to ask, okay, how much of this was cinematography and how much of this was the director's vision? But the director mainly gets performances out of characters. He got really good performances out of people. So I think that he's got a little bit of a shot, but Alfonso Cuarón deserves this for Roma.
Yeah.
He earned that. I mean, those long shots, god damn.
I kind of feel like Spike Lee is gonna win because, like you said...
I think if he does win, that's why. Which, as I said, freaking love Black Klansmen, but if he beats out Alfonso Cuarón, it's because we haven't had Spike Lee in here for a while. Spike Lee's finally back. Let's give him this award. Plus, again, they nominated Weisz just simply so that they could give like an indirect fuck you to Trump. And I'm all for indirect fuck yous to Trump. And you know Spike Lee would give one when he gets up there on stage. So I can see them kind of going, I kind of want to see Spike Lee give his speech there at the end. Let's see. Adapted screenplay. This is one that I'm always kind of interested in. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I love that film. That film is another, I think, Netflix original. But yeah, it's like an anthology of just short stories about things happening in the West. And it gets weird, it gets comedic, it gets horrific, it gets dramatic. It covers so much in there. And I applaud that movie for capturing so much. And that screenplay was really damn good. Black Klansmen is in here. Can You Ever Forgive Me? If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. This is really tough. This really is. It's not gonna be If Beale Street Could Talk. Can You Ever Forgive Me? Shouldn't be that one either. Again, every single one of these deserves the nomination. But in terms of winning, I think as much as I would like for it to be a Ballad of Buster Scruggs, again, the nomination is praise enough. I think that's all it's going to get, just the nomination. So it's coming down to Black Klansmen or A Star Is Born. I think because of how the story just does that masterful, like, crisscross between the two. I know you had a problem with it, but I love that about it. I thought it nailed that. So my vote is A Star Is Born.
I feel like the same way simply because it is like out of all the nominees here, that one is the most Oscar bait word.
It's very Oscar bait. I will admit that, yes. However, in all honesty, I think Black Klansman has a real good shot.
Yeah,
at this.
it's like a very close
It's
second.
a 60-40 on this one for me. Let's see. Original screenplay, we've got The Favorite, First Reform, didn't see, don't know that one. Green Book, Roma, and Weisz. Definitely not Weisz. God damn it, Mckay, god damn. I'm mad seeing that get this nomination. Do you know how many other smart movies came out this year? God damn it. So we don't know First Reform. It's definitely not Vice. So it's down to The Favorite, Green Book, or Roma. I think Green Book has a shot because even though I do see the problems people have with it, the dialogue is really witty in here. And the Academy loves witty dialogue. But you know what also had really witty dialogue? The Favorite. And The Favorite is also, you know, a Victorian period piece.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the winner. I think that's your winner right there. So I'm going with The Favorite on that one. Foreign language film, the only one of these we saw was Roma. So
yeah,
I'm going with Roma. But it deserves it. Listen, it's the only one of these films that's also nominated for Best Picture. It's winning it. That's an easy one. Animated feature. Incredibles 2, Isle of Dog, Mirai, which I did not see that one.
I think that's another foreign movie.
It's a Japanese film.
Yeah.
Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think that one deserves to be in here.
You know they just filled that in because they need like a Disney.
ABC is up the Oscars ass. Disney owns part of the Oscars.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And then there's Spider-Verse.
Remember when they were going to cut forward the awards and have them aired during commercial breaks? Disney had no films nominated in any of those awards, including cinematography, which is a major thing. So, yeah, it didn't take a lot of work to see why they were doing what they were doing.
And of course, the final one, Spider-Verse.
It deserves to win, but will it win?
I think it will, but then I feel like Isle of Dogs comes in at a close second.
I will be totally honest with you. Isle of Dogs is my personal favorite. I
do like Isle of Dogs, but as far as like animation goes,
it's
Spider-Verse. Yeah. But like story-wise and like everything else, I do really enjoy Isle of Dogs. I got like a really soft spot for stop-motion animation.
I thought you were gonna say for dogs.
Dogs too, yes.
Yeah, Isle of Dogs is my personal favorite, but if they don't give it to Spider-Verse, people are gonna riot. And I think I think they realize that. I think the only reason Spider-Verse won't win is the old vote. The old people aren't going to get Spider-Verse. And the old people vote a lot in the Academy. It's just like every other election out there. So Spider-Verse deserves it because even though Isle of Dogs is my personal favorite, I can admit that Spider-Verse was the better film and the better received film. But I think Isle of Dogs actually has a shot on this one.
Yeah.
So let's see. Original score. I'm so happy to see Black Panther nominated for this. Because I remember while I was watching that movie thinking Black Panther had a great score. Black Panther, Black Klansmen, If Beale Street Could Talk, Isle of Dogs, and Mary Poppins Returns.
Well, Mary Poppins Returns is a musical and a Disney musical.
I think it's got it. I don't think it deserves it. I think it's going to win.
Yeah.
I listened to this podcast, the Comedy Film Nerds, and they always refer to this during their big Oscar episode. The should win, the should win will win. So that's the will win. I think the should win is actually If Beale Street Could Talk, because I think the music, you didn't see that one so you can't really weigh in, but the music in that plays a huge role in that movie. Like, it captures, like, the emotional tones so well, and that entire movie is nothing but emotional tones. So yeah, I think If Beale Street Could Talk should win. I think Mary Poppins is going to win.
Yeah.
Let's see. Original song. I don't know most of these. All the Stars. I don't remember which one that was in Black Panther. I'll Fight. I don't know what art. Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary. Didn't see that one. Shallow from A Star Is Born. That is a damn good song. I love that song. When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings. I actually do know a lot of these. From the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And The Place Where Lost Things Go by Mary Poppins Returns. Even if Mary Poppins Returns wins for score, that's not as easy to win in original score, in original song. It doesn't instantly translate. I think Shallow is going to win. Shallow is the should win. Shallow is the should win. It should win. It will win. But I really, really love When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings. That is a great song. If you have not watched The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, go and watch that. It's on Netflix. It's so good. Do you disagree with Shallow, or do you think?
Shallow's a good. I say yeah. I mean, it's like. But then again, Mary Poppins Returns, and it's like...
I think that if they give it to Mary Poppins for score, I think they'll let the individual song of Shallow from A Star Is Born rise above that.
I think so too, okay, yeah.
Documentary short, didn't see. Skipping that one. Cinematography. Cold War, I didn't see it, but I've seen the trailers and it looks amazing for cinematography, so it's got a shot just from that. The Favorite, I definitely think that's got a shot because, as we said, it's shot very originally. Never Look Away, didn't see it. Roma, goddamn.
I feel like it's going to be like a tie between The Favorite and Roma.
I think those are the contenders. I think Cold War could come in here and be the big surprise, but that's simply because we don't really know that much about it. But from what I've seen, it looks gorgeous. But Roma deserves it. Roma, as we didn't even mention A Star Is Born. Star Is Born has good cinematography.
Yeah, it's just okay.
I don't think it deserves the nomination, though. I will say that. The concerts actually do kind of deserve a little bit. I'll give it that. It deserves a little bit in there. But I think you could have found a better fifth one in there. But man, The Favorite is really unique, but Roma, those long shots.
Oh yeah, those long shots.
Those long shots and the black and white, how it's just the perfect tone set. Roma deserves it. Roma is the Should-Would on this one. Let's see. Best Documentary Feature, didn't see any of them. Production Design, I'm so happy Black Panther got nominated for this. It's Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. I think Black Panther hands down deserves it. I think it hands down deserves this. It's the should win. The Favorite's the would win. I think that The Favorite, it's got that Victorian setting going that everybody loves. They even do different stuff with the Victorian setting. Like I said, towards the end when Rachel Weisz is like the big thing over her eyes, she looks like a totally weird ass, like, looks like your first Victorian era OC.
Also, I feel like The Favorite feels more historically accurate compared to like other Victorian movies. I mean, it doesn't romanticize the historical period.
Yeah, and Black Panther deserves this. It hands down deserves it. I mean, the scenes where they're in the throne room and every single tribe has their own look, or when they're going to the waterfall and they have to get challenged and they have to come up with a unique design for each of the tribes when they're being challenged, that's so damn good. But that's like costume that I'm just saying.
Yeah, so
the city itself looks amazing as well. The city looks so damn good. Like not even just like Wakanda. I mean like when they're in like Korea.
The mines or something.
The mines, Korea. Like man, when it just becomes a James Bond film for 5 minutes in there. Yeah, it deserves it. It's not gonna get it. I think that The Favorite's gonna get this.
Yeah.
Roma also deserves it. Deserves second place on that one, but yeah. Sound mixing and sound editing, these are when they get weird because sound mixing is how well you can like blend all the sounds together. It's how well you can basically kind of like mix the tracks together to make it sound like one consistent thing. Sound editing is how well you can put sounds in there, so it has to do with like special effects and such. It's so like, man, you gotta have that ear for it. Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born. We didn't see First Man. Typically the rule on the sound ones is whatever's the loudest movie wins. I don't feel like that's the case on this one because you've got 2 concert movies in here. I think Star Is Born should win. And I think it might. I'm gonna go should win on Star Is Born.
Okay.
That one, yeah. Again, that's a tough one to decide.
And like sound editing,
Sound editing, let's skip to that one. Filmmaking, sound editing, here we go. Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, A Quiet Place, Roma. A Quiet Place deserves it. It will not get it. Goddamn, that is the should win. I think Roma might be the will win, but goddamn, A Quiet Place deserves that one. That makes me mad that it won't get. It makes me mad that I didn't get the other sound one in there. But let's see. Costume design. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, man, that had good costumes in there. Black Panther, I just talked about how good costumes were in there. The Favorite is Victorian costumes, but they at least did different stuff with them. Mary Poppins Returns and Mary Queen of Scots, another Victorian thing. I honestly think the Victorian vote is going to get split on this one because you got 2 Victorian ones in there. So Black Panther hands down deserves to win. And remember, that's also a Disney property. So I think they would do a bigger push for Black Panther than for that. The only way that...
But Mary Poppins Returns is also Disney.
That's why I'm saying, yeah. But here's the thing, I think Disney will push more for Black Panther to kind of inspire like the voters to go for that one. Black Panther is the one that deserves it. Buster Scruggs comes in second on that one. Like man, I am like that close between those 2. So if Buster Scruggs wins, I'd actually be happier for that than if Black Panther won, simply because it's kind of like no one's really talking about that one.
The underdog, basically.
It'd be the underdog on this one. But Black Panther deserves to win. I think the Victorian era vote is going to get split, but there's so many people that like Victorian stuff. I think The Favorite has the shot of winning it.
Yeah, because it is nominated for Best Movie.
Because it's nominated for Best Movie. Well, Black Panther's nominated as well, but still,
But Victorian.
But Victorian, exactly. So I think should win Black Panther, will win The Favorite. Let's see. Film editing. Whew. This is the one where this and cinematography are the ones that I am mad. Sorry to bother you, did not get nominated. Because the editing and cinematography is stunning in that movie. Not in the big, like, we're going to shoot some big, gorgeous landscape or have these long, winding shots. No, it is amazing. And god damn it, Weisz got nominated for editing. They're literally just chopping random shit and throwing. All right. Get that shit out here and put sorry to bother you in there. God damn it. Yeah, because sorry to bother you, I'm not gonna lie. That would be my pick to win. That, like, the way that they, like, transition from, like, just one crazy scene into the next, how they're able to just, like, smash cut to give you different feelings and emotions. The way that they're able to do the, like, I'm just jumping into someone else's room with them at those moments. That's half editing, half cinematography, which is why I say it deserves cinematography as well. But god damn, it deserved an editing nomination. But we got Black Klansmen, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, and Weisz. Weisz, get that shit out of here, it's bad. The Favorite actually was pretty good, but I'm gonna be real with you. I think Black Klansmen should win it. I think it should, because I didn't even stop and think about it until right now, but that did have really good editing.
Yeah, like, especially that ending.
Yeah, especially the ending, but as I mentioned, the entire reason why that film works for me is because they're able to take the really dramatic moments and then slap you across the face after you've had a comedic moment. And the way that balances them is incredibly well. Balancing stuff like that relies a lot on editing. So Black Klansman absolutely deserves that one. I think it's gonna go to Green Book. I have a feeling Green Book's gonna win that one. I can't even tell you why, you know.
It's just like a gut feeling.
Like, I think because there's so many good interactions between those two characters, and I think a lot of people, like, you know, again, comedic interaction, a lot of it relies on how shots are edited together, and I think that the Academy is going to applaud that. So I think The Favorite and Green Book are the two most likely to win because the Victorian vote, but Black Klansman deserves that one. Let's see, animated shorts didn't see, live action shorts didn't see.
The only animated short I saw was the one in front of Incredibles 2.
Which will probably win.
Yeah, probably.
It always
It's
does.
Pixar.
Yeah. Makeup and hairstyle, we have Border, Mary Queen of Scots, and Weisz. I'm gonna say something that's gonna blow your mind. Weisz deserves this one. Weisz deserves this and Best Acting. Those are the only two things it should have been nominated for, and it should win them both. Absolutely, hands down, sticking by that. Because, again, it's not just that Christian Bale gained weight. They turned him into Dick Cheney. It's stunning, that transformation. He absolutely deserves that. Visual effects, Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, Solo, a Star Wars movie. Star Wars story. This is the last one. Okay, wow. We're finally at the end of this. Oh,
Yay.
Jesus Christ, this was a long episode. Christopher Robin, it was actually really impressive how they were able to bring the creatures to life. First Man, we did not see. Ready Player One, everything looks like computer-generated effects in there.
But it's supposed to?
Which is the reason why I'm kind of coming around on it. Yeah, like, the one problem you would have with the effects in that film is actually a positive for the effects in that film, so I gotta give it some credit on that. Solo, a Star Wars movie, Star Wars always has really damn good effects, and, I mean, the moment in which he's actually doing the Kessel Run, it's nothing but really impressive effects in there. But Avengers Infinity War, god damn it, Thanos looks real up there in the entire fucking movie. Like, never once did I look at that guy and go, fake, big purple CGI effect walking around. No, you bought that guy as a character. And the battle at the end of that thing is amazing. Like, all three battles that are happening at the end of that thing. Incredible. He threw a fucking moon at Iron Man, and it felt amazing. Spider-Man is flipping through, like, reality, twisting around, feels great. Doctor Strange is creating, like, platforms for Star-Lord to jump across. All that's effects. And also a little bit of cinematography and a little bit of directing. But they didn't get nominated for that. That's visual effects. They deserve this hands down. Now, will they get it, though? Because I have a feeling like the Academy might look at that and be like, we already gave you Black Panther for Best Picture. We don't have to give you this. We're going to give it to the movie about a spaceman. Thanos is a spaceman, you idiots.
Oh, you mean the Star Wars one?
The Star Wars one? Yeah. I have a real feeling like First Man might win this just because I feel like the big sci-fi nerds in the Academy are going to be split between Avengers, Ready Player One, Christopher Robin, and Solo. Like, I feel like all four of the other ones are going to split them. First Man was like the big dramatic one. I have a weird feeling like all the old people are like, what is the kids are into with the superheroes and stuff. I feel like they're going to go, all right, man landing on the moon. Yes, important. Like, this is what a kid should actually be talking about. I feel like that's what's going to win this thing. So yeah, that's it. That is our complete rundown. I can't believe we actually got through this. Thank you guys for sitting through this long-ass video. By the time that this thing goes up, the Oscars are probably about to start. I am actually going to do a live watch of the Oscars. We can't stream it because the Oscars are still really stuck up about that shit. But I will be watching with the camera on us during the Oscars. So if you want to know our exact thoughts about our exact reaction to it, you can join us at twitch.tv/Professor Thorgi tonight. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and come back for our regular movie reviews next week. That will be way shorter, and my voice will hopefully be returned to normal. Bye, everyone.
Bye.